You're listening to the All Systems Go podcast, the show that teaches you everything you need to know to put your business on autopilot. Learn how to deploy automated marketing and sales systems in your business the right way with your host, the professor of automation himself and founder of Automation Bridge, Chris Davis.
Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast. I'm your host, Chris L. Davis, the founder and chief automation officer of Automation Bridge, the place online to learn about small business marketing and sales automation, where we focus on turning digital marketing professionals into automation service providers. And if you would like to become one or find out more what is an automation service provider, I invite you to visit automationbridge.com/ASP. If you're new to the podcast, make sure that you subscribe and share once you've listened to this episode in its entirety. Okay. At the time of recording, the All Systems Go podcast is free to subscribe to, and you can find the show in all of your main podcasting apps like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube. If you are a listener and you've not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Join the family of listeners that receive notifications as soon as a new episode is released every Thursday. So while you're at it, your 5-star rating and reviews are greatly appreciated. If for any reason you have any issue leaving that 5-star rating and review, we've got you covered. You can go to automationbridge.com/review. All right. In this episode, I get to nerd out a bit with one of my favorite marketers from the ActiveCampaign community, Peacey. And Kay is a certified ActiveCampaign consultant and an experienced digital marketer. Thousands of businesses have relied on her to help them with their ActiveCampaign, and she knows things that constantly undermine the performance of a business looking to leverage ActiveCampaign. She's a lifelong teacher, and her joy, it comes from empowering businesses to fix problems themselves so they can manage their ActiveCampaign accounts confidently and successfully. That's today's episode. Enjoy the conversation between Kay and I. Kay, welcome to the podcast. I am excited. I'm glad, and I'm looking forward to what you're about to, the value that you're about to bring to our listeners. And how are you doing?
I am doing great, thank you. I'm thrilled to be talking with you because I've been following you for a long time. We've had this chat before, haven't we? Where I was like tiny germinating baby automator when I found your stuff, and it was just immediate connection with the way that you talk about automation and everything that you feel and believe about it.
Yes.
So it's just great to be hanging out with you on the podcast.
Yes, great to have you equally. And listeners, Kay and I were connecting before we started recording, and we were just talking about her evolution. You know, how she said she was a baby automator. And I said, yeah, and you've really grown up. And she said, well, more so like mutated. So that was hilarious to me because it really is. It's this process of becoming this thing that you, in the beginning, you're like, I'm going to start this automation journey and this is what it's going to look like. And somewhere along the lines, it doesn't quite match that, but it ends up being better though. Right?
Oh,
like
so much better. Honestly, if you'd asked me 5 years ago what I would be doing now, it would not include Ninja ActiveCampaign Queen. That was just nowhere. I didn't even know. I genuinely did not know that automation was a thing at all.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's thrilling. I love it.
Yes. So this is going to be a treat, everybody. For my ActiveCampaign community, this you guys are gonna start salivating now. For anybody else that's just like, oh, what is ActiveCampaign? Or hey, I use that. Just sit back and enjoy this conversation because we're gonna give you the goal here is to give a holistic perspective on automation, where ActiveCampaign plays a part in this complicated landscape, and then give some real life case studies, with you being that case study of how you've leveraged it, for yourself. So I think that people need to hear that. They need to reduce the overwhelm. But before we get into it, I'm already getting ahead of myself because I'm excited. Tell us a little bit about your background and your business.
Okay, so I am in the UK. You've probably guessed that from the accent. I'm right down in the little southwest corner of the UK in a very rural area called Cornwall. It's a tourist area, very pretty, very beautiful. Actually, we have G7. The big summit is being held in Cornwall right now. Wow. So we've had a lot of military helicopter action going on, which is unusual for us. But what we also have is super fast digital broadband now. We didn't have that when I was growing up here. I originally trained as a teacher of mathematics.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the thread that has run through everything for me has always been teaching. So I started out training as a maths teacher, and I taught teenagers in school. And it turned out the teenagers didn't like me so much. And, it wasn't a great relationship. You know how some people just have classroom control and other people just don't? I was like missing that particular part. So I came out of schools and I moved into the very early days of e-learning. The Open University in the UK was working online at the time, reaching adults across the country. And so I switched into adult learning and into the really early days of online e-learning education for some really big institutions in the UK, like the NHS and the Open University. So that was great. Adults, I can teach adults pretty much anything. You can stay, if you're even one step ahead and the person wants to learn and you know how to unlock learning for people, that is the thread that's run through everything I taught. And later on, I ended up leading a community choir, and you teach singing. It's all the same principles, right? It's helping people understand that they can learn how to do this. So long as you have the right instruction in the right order at the right pace, and you want that education, you want those skills, you have the right person in front of you, and you can make that happen. And that's been a thrill for me for always.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wound up with this sort of jigsaw career over the years. And then I had kids, and I also got quite disabled for a while. And this is actually relevant because what that gave me was like a hiatus period in my life of about maybe 10 years where I really couldn't work full time, or, I certainly couldn't have been in a classroom, and I was actually wheelchair using for a time as well. So, and especially with being in a rural area, that it really limits what you can do.
Yeah.
So there was this long period where I was not able to work full time, but I was still doing other things. Like I was a senior examiner for mathematics exams. And I was leading this community choir from the wheelchair, which is fun. And just we had some great times along the way. And then I got to the end of that, and then sort of completely accidentally fell into the lap of ActiveCampaign land, which I think we're going to talk about more later on.
Yeah.
My health problems got fixed. Thank you, NHS. I had some major orthopedic surgeries, and that meant that the pain went away. I could walk again. Nice. And it's genuinely, it's transformational when you've been through something like that for such a long period of time. And then you get to a point where you can actually use your brain and work and be productive and connect with people again. And you throw into that super fast digital broadband, and suddenly from being a stay-at-home parent who's a wheelchair user and has no career and very little income, suddenly you can transform from there to being where I am now. It's incredible to me that is possible.
I love it. It's the hero journey, right?
I know. I'm sorry.
You can see it. And so for you, Kay, what was that gateway into ActiveCampaign, right? What I'm realizing is that some of the best automators, I like to call them automation service providers, but some of the best automators have some form of technical or scientific background. I've had people who are IT professionals, analysts, business, not business analysts, but analysts where they just live in spreadsheets. You yourself, a mathematician. I had what kind of scientist was it? I can't remember what kind of scientist it was. Engineers, all of these, the math and science realm, in technology seems to birth some of the best automators. So what was your gateway?
This is the systems thinkers. It's for me, it comes down to aptitude, right? And so my background is mathematics and music, often go very hand in hand. So if you're arranging music, it's the same principles. You're looking for relationships and patterns and how to break things down. Teaching also really plays into that. How do I break this down into steps? Right? Teaching is just another process. So for me, I think it's people who are systems and process driven. And that's always been my thing in every single role I was ever in. I was always the one going like, oh, we could do this better. We could do this more efficiently. I'm just going to build you a custom spreadsheet. I'll teach you how to use it. Or, that filing system is not helping us. Let's build a better one. And actually, for me, a lot of it comes back to I am impatient and lazy. I don't like having to do the same thing twice if there's a better way to get it done.
Oh, efficient.
Efficiency for me is basically driven by laziness and impatience and frustration with errors as well. If you're a bit perfectionist, that leads you to seek out reliable, robust systems to get this stuff done better, faster, without the errors, right?
Yep. So you, like me, were being primed by your professional experience and just your career and your focus at time for a space that you didn't even know existed.
No, man, I had no idea. And that 10 years in my life where I'm busy being ouchy and not going anywhere, the world carries on without you. And when I came back into the tech space, I had no idea that these things existed at all. I knew that stuff had moved on. I had an iPod, right? I knew that websites had moved on from raw coding into HTML, which I had taught before. So I knew where it had been 10 years ago, but that 10 years, goodness me, what a shift in the world. And like you said, automation, particularly automation for small business, simply did not exist at that time.
It was totally new. So for you're coming out of a transition from one career, and then you find yourself in front of ActiveCampaign. Was that from a client? Was that just from you browsing the interwebs? Like what was that event?
You're going to like this. This is so accidental. Honestly, there's a lot of serendipity in play here. So I live in this tiny little Cornish town called Foy, and my kids are at school with some other kids, and their mum is Melissa Love.
Okay.
And our kids were doing this after school Spanish club together. And Melissa had been banging on to me now and again about her digital marketing business. And I was like, I don't even know what a website template is. I don't know what you're talking about. But it sounds great, Melissa. Yay.
Yeah.
Anyway, she realized that I was getting better from my hip problems. And I was sort of scanning around for something to do. I'm like, I don't want to substitute teach. I don't really want to go into the choir leading thing any more than I'm doing. I was looking around for something. And she had been looking really hard for someone to work ActiveCampaign for her. And she set her beady eye on me and literally sitting around. The kids are over there. We're pretending to be listening to the Spanish lesson, but actually having a gossip. And she said, hey, why don't you take a run at this? I can't find anyone to do this. And you are a smart person. And I think you can do this.
Yeah.
And at that time, she had no idea that I had been a teacher or that I had been involved in IT education or e-learning. And we literally kids, friends on the school run, right? And so she pointed me at ActiveCampaign and taught me a lot in a really short period of time because she knows ever such a lot about marketing. Yeah. She actually runs a membership now called the Marketing Fix. And her patience with me in that first 6 months is extraordinary because without that, there's no way that I could have built the knowledge and context of small business marketing world. how does it all fit together? And where does automation fit into this? Where do Facebook ads fit into this? And the website, that sort of holy trinity almost of things that glue together to make a small business marketing ecosystem.
Yeah.
That 6 months was pivotal for me in understanding this. And as part of this, she pointed me at ActiveCampaign, says, go figure out how to use this. That's it.
Yep.
That was the brief.
Yes.
Go work this out. So naturally, I found your podcast at this point.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. And for you, okay, because this is good. This is good. I hadn't thought about, I didn't know we were going to go here, but in that journey, Kay, if you could go back and think about the fear and the overwhelm of a client giving you this huge responsibility because they see something in you that you may not have been aware of yourself, but they're like, if she could just get this tool, if she could just do this, she would be perfect. And you're thinking, what is this? What are that? Why are they asking me? Right?
Yes.
So talk through that a little bit. Like, what made you say, you know what, I am going to conquer this and go and listen to the podcast and immerse yourself in the community and really take that challenge on by the head?
Oh, that is such a good question, because it's a sliding doors moment, right? You could go either way then, because ActiveCampaign, when you look in, is frankly terrifying. If you imagine coming into that knowing nothing about business or marketing or websites or any of the tech for the last 10 years, it's a big deal. Yes. So there's a big element of serendipity and sheer gung-ho, throw yourself at whatever comes in your path, which has been my guiding star. I've had a lot of serendipity through my career. You know, something happens, someone says, hey, have a go at this. I'm like, okay, I'll have a go at that. I like it. I thrive on that fun. The curiosity is where I got pinned with ActiveCampaign, because when I first started using it and I started to see what it was capable of and where it fit in, it was just, whoa, total head exploding moment of, oh my God, this thing's amazing. And then I got really curious. And that's when I started really digging into what the community was sharing about ActiveCampaign and what the potential is, what that platform can do, and the creative ideas and the things that you can achieve for a small business. The democratization of automation fascinated me right from there. I was like, oh my God, we can do some stuff that the big players are doing. These are huge global companies that are able to do this incredible joined up, synchronized stuff around their ecosystems. I was like, oh my God, wait, we can do this. We have the Ferrari right here. And I was like, Melissa, we can do this really cool stuff with this. And because I was coming out of the disability, I was still recuperating at this point, didn't have a lot of stamina. But what I did have was huge amounts of time. And this genuinely, like, my brain had been on mothballs, because when you have a lot of pain, you can't think. You just, you can't. Right. It doesn't work that way. Or it didn't for me anyway. Maybe not everyone, but my brain didn't work the same way. And so in this period, it's like a real rebirth. Not to get too hippie, but it's like a rebirth. Your brain comes back to life, and it's just firing on all cylinders of like, whoa, I can think again. And look, I can do this cool stuff that no one else seems to be able to do. And that is a huge thrill. That is excitement. It's validating. And suddenly you have this worth and value to someone. And that just, once that starts feeding on itself, I'm not saying that I recognized that immediately. It took me a long time to understand that what I had was valuable. Melissa was telling me that right from the start. She was very clear. She spotted it really early. ActiveCampaign is a killer good tool. If you learn how to use this, give it a couple of years and you are going to be in massive demand. And I was like, you're right. Whoa, boy, did that come true.
She was spot on. It's so funny because I had a similar experience when I was learning Entreport. My gateway was through Office Autopilot when it was called that. And I was at Entrepalooza And it was Brendan Bouchard, and he was on the stage just encouraging everybody. You guys are going to be the future. Every small business is going to need you. And I was just looking at his first conference I had been to, first internet marketer, millionaire person who was inspirational from the stage. And I'm trying not to like feed into all the hype, but I just believed it. I did. I believed it. And we both stand as examples and proof that this space is here. And Kay, the beautiful part about it, at the time of this recording, we're in 2021 for anybody listening to this in the far future. At the time of this recording, we're still getting started.
I know.
We're still getting started.
It is so exciting. And I get this great thrill now of bringing other people into automation land, saying, "Hey guys, this is a really cool thing." So I've got my other mum school friends who are returning to work now after raising their kids. I'm like, "Hey, you seem quite techie.
Yeah,
have a look at this."
Yes,
and they're getting into Airtable and ActiveCampaign and integration and Zapier. I'm like, you are going to be gold dust, because there are not many people with these skills. And it's really interesting to me that women adult returners particularly are really well positioned to just jump in.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'm always thrilled by the speed with which you can get yourself to a point where you are so skilled in these things. If you learn the right things and you are prepared to be curious, creative, learn from the community, and get in there and play.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You got it. You have to enjoy the play.
Oh,
because it's in the playing that you figure out, right?
Yeah. That's
what the tool can really do, right? It's like, I was just you. And here's the thing, Kay, you'll be sitting watching TV, walking your dog, maybe you're doing something totally unrelated. And the idea, the inspiration will hit you. And you're like, I wonder if I can do that. Right.
That is exactly it. That's what it's like inside my head. And it's pretty constant, actually. Yep. I think one of my clients referred to it, was stunned one day by something I figured out how to do. She was like, "How did you even think of that?" And I said, it was genuinely in the middle of the night. I woke up and I knew how to do that.
Yep.
And she said, "You have got the weirdest brain I have ever come across, but oh my goodness, I'm loving it."
Mm-hmm. And I have to say this, two things. One, shameless plug. The reason why I even created the Automation Service Provider program was because I knew that the next generation was going to go through a similar phase that you've gone through, that I had to go through with a larger startup, where you're the sole one responsible for the automation. And it's overwhelming. And sometimes you just need somebody to say, "Hey, that's right." Or, "Hey, don't do it that way." Because you don't want to go to the CEO with that, right? You don't want to go to the person who put you in place. You need that space. You need that community.
And you need the security, and you need a lot of trust as well. So for me, I'm going to just Melissa Love again, without her trust, letting me learn in her ActiveCampaign account, I would not have been able to explore and play and push it as hard as I did. And that's really how I was able to get here so quickly, is by having that space in which to learn and grow without being judged or condemned when things went wrong, which they did.
And they will.
They do. They do. But I tell you what I love doing now is being Auntie Kay, who gets to hold people's hands when they are learning how to do this stuff, because it is terrifying. And I think especially for business owners who are these crazy, incredible, talented, wonderful people in their niche, doing their thing, driven by their passions, running a whole business and trying to automate and learn how to use ActiveCampaign.
Yeah.
And that is a big ask.
Absolutely.
That's a big ask.
Absolutely. And the second thing I want to say that's in a line with what you're saying is, for those of you listening who have somebody manning your ActiveCampaign or your marketing automation platform, or you're listen to how Kay is talking about how her mind works, the things that she's excited about. You want a tinkerer. If you're not the technical person, you want a tinkerer. You want somebody that's going to go in and enjoy. You don't want the person that's doing it because they have to. Oh, well, they told me to go figure out how to integrate ActiveCampaign with Kajabi. Let me figure. No, you want somebody that's like, ooh, I wonder what we can do here.
Yes.
You know,
the
like,
curiosity.
Yes.
Curiosity is what drives it. And that problem solving, creative thinking,
yes,
which is why engineers, I think, are really good at it, because that's what they do. They find a creative way to get this, you lay out a table of kit in front of them, where it's like, come dine, not come dine with me, this ready, steady, cook, where they've got a table of ingredients and you've got to figure out how to produce a great meal from what you've got in front of you.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, what can I do with this? How can I put these things together? And you try something and you've got to be ready to fail as well. You have to be able to try stuff and know that it's going to break 9 times. Yep. And then you get to do the happy geek dance when it all comes together. And there it is. It's done.
Yep.
Roll it out.
Yep. That's it. So that in itself could have been this podcast, but we've got more. We've got more, everybody. I love where we're naturally going though, Kay, because this is going to be so affirming and put people at rest, at ease, who are, I come across a lot of people who are taking on the marketing of solopreneurs, enterprises, startups, and the feeling is the same. It's just like, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. They see the opportunity and they want to seize the opportunity. So I think that there's a lot of consolation that they'll be hearing in this episode. So one of the things about you that I personally enjoy is your intentionality around education. So your posts on social media, the emails that you send and everything, they're always contextual. And as an educator, I appreciate that, right? Because I can tell you about tags. I can tell you about all these features, but outside of the context, you're not going to be able to unlock it in your business in the capacity that you need. So your dedication and intentionality around education is refreshing, right? And aligned. So we're definitely aligned there. How would you take your educational approach? We need Auntie K here now to help the small business owners who are listening to this podcast understand this business automation landscape and where ActiveCampaign fits in it.
Ooh, that's such a good question. It's a big question, really, isn't it?
It is.
Well, it's a big question. How do we unlock that for the average small business? And I have this conversation a lot. I have it a lot with my friends who occasionally see something I post and say, I still don't get it. What do you do? And when I describe it to them, I talk a lot about ActiveCampaign is like the hub, the centerpiece, and all the spokes are coming off it. But you need some central thing that is like the Bible of your business, that shows you everything that a person has done or experienced within your business. And that hub, if it's connected to the other things that are in your business, because every small business now is made up of multiple little digital bits and bobs, right? Like little cogs doing their own thing. If they're all doing their own thing independently, that is really hard for you to manage as a business person. It's like literally like spinning plate over here, over here, over here. If they're all spinning off in different directions, that's not going to help you. It's just going to make your life hard. If you connect all of those things to one central thing, in this case, ActiveCampaign, and have those things talk to each other automatically, immediately it takes away so much of the pain of running a business and so much of the time drain of running a business. So to me, ActiveCampaign is pain relief for small business owners. It should feel great to have ActiveCampaign in your world. And I know it doesn't feel like that the very first time you get in there, but if you are willing to take the time, literally just half an hour a day for a couple of weeks, to understand the place of the different things that are in there, like you've got tags and contacts and lists and fields. If you are willing as the business owner to take the time to at least know what these things are and what they're meant to do, then you are in a position then to start to unlock what it can do for your business and get, even if it's not you who's getting curious about it, but to find the right person to get curious about it and to start looking at how can this hub that is joined up to all the other things and that's super clever. It's going to keep an eye on everything for you, right?
Yeah.
It's going to pain relief for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can start to find the pain points and think, how can ActiveCampaign support me to relieve this pain point?
Yeah.
What can it do? So, for example, making appointments. Loads of people discovered this during COVID, like it was a new thing.
Right.
We're like, we've been doing this for years, guys. It's great.
Right.
Instead of, playing phone tag with someone, and nobody wants to phone up to make an appointment. It's horrible. We all hate it as customers, and businesses hate it because it takes a lot of time. You can have a calendar appointment tool do that for you. You can embed it on your website. You can send people a pre-filled link. They don't even have to type their email address in there, which means they can't break it and do it wrong.
Yes, Kay. Yes.
Oh, we love the pre-fills. We love the pre-fills, right? And actually, it's not just pain relief for you in the business. It's pain relief for your customer as well.
Yep.
But you can't start thinking about those things until you are familiar enough with the landscape of what is possible. And one of the best ways to do that, I think, is hanging out in these wonderful communities where other businesses are hanging out who are automating stuff, because that's where you get the ideas from. That's where you get the inspiration of like, whoa, oh, there's this cool new tool, or I've got that exact problem and this is how someone has already solved it. Watch the people who've already solved it.
Yep.
Don't be reinventing the wheel.
Yes. And I'll add to it, when you're talking about learning just how to automate, you've got to get exposed to as much as possible, right?
Yeah.
Our brains are so unique, and you can ask one person to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. How would you automate that? Yeah. And you can get 20 different responses from 10 people, right? Like one person have 3 different ways, maybe one person has one way, and it could all work. So tell me this, Kay. It is overwhelming. Just that alone, maybe that just overwhelms somebody. It's like, how do you know the right way? I just want to do it right. How do you think of that? We talked about the position that ActiveCampaign plays, and it's that hub, right? That done correctly, implemented in your business, can attach to all of the other operations in your business and give you that synchronous operation where data is being passed to and fro, and the end result is pain relief. Right. When you said that, I pictured like some pills with an ActiveCampaign label on it. It was like pain relief for your business, free marketing if they want to take that. No, not free marketing. That's ours. Hands off of that. Right. But when you look at it and the feeling, Kay, when someone unlocks it, you're like, yes, the results. So tell me what you have seen are some of those stumbling blocks when someone's getting started, that specific to ActiveCampaign, that you see people make, that you have to just kind of course correct often.
Oh man, I'm so glad you've asked that. Yeah, this was a big part of my first sort of my realizing that I was getting good at this, was that I was answering the same questions again and again and again in the ActiveCampaign official Facebook group. Yes. Because it's these same pain points. And I was getting mad about it, not about answering the questions, but I was getting really mad about the fact that people kept having to fall into these holes, and because it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. You cannot be expected to know this stuff unless someone actually tells you. I am on a mission, genuinely, to tell people about these. I call them the bear traps in ActiveCampaign. It's like littered with bear traps and overwhelm unless you've got someone to just show you where the safe path is. It's actually really fast and really easy to keep to the safe path. But you just need someone to show you where it is. And it was making me sad that people kept falling into it. So just as a really simple example, the biggest one that I correct people on all the time, and that causes major problems for them if they don't get a course adjustment early on, is having loads of lists. I want like a custom gift that says, Auntie Kay says, no more lists.
No more lists. No. Put them on timeout.
No.
Go in the corner.
Go on the naughty step. Do not build another list. And it makes me so cross because still I see people saying ActiveCampaign support told them to subscribe to a list. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Step away from the lists.
Absolutely.
So that's an easy one. And naming stuff. Oh, I know. I see your eyes on that one. We think alike on this. Naming conventions. Man. I had to learn all this stuff the hard way and the long way. And as a teacher, as a lifelong educator, it's just like mathematics. It's just like teaching mathematics to teenagers. It's the same thing. In mathematics, there are millions of ways to get to the answer. Some of them are a heck of a lot more reliable, faster, and easier than others. But in most cases, to use the one that is fastest, easiest, and most reliable, you have to spend at least a little bit of time learning, watching someone else do it, and understanding why it works. You don't always have to understand the why, but this comes back to the context. Context almost always results in a stronger educational learning experience, the pedagogy.
Yep.
It's also about finding the ways to present information in a way that they understand. Yes. And quite often when you look at the documentation for something like ActiveCampaign or their onboarding, and I think this is true of all of the big platforms, their onboarding is very technical, very dry, and it's often completely out of context because it has to be. It's their help docs, right?
Yep.
And in a way, we shouldn't be looking to them to teach us how to drive these things. They're the sales team and the manufacturers. Their job is to build and maintain this incredible thing and tell you this button does this thing. That's it. That's their job.
Yep. Provide you with the manual. They're not going to train you how to drive. You get stuck in a ditch. They're not going to come out. And if that happens, it's a bonus. It's a cherry on top. Do not expect it. Do
not expect it. Right. So my primary mission right now is to get the learner drivers before they start bouncing off the hedgerows, which happens a lot in Cornwall. We have very narrow lanes here.
Oh, wow.
Very narrow lanes.
Yes.
I want to get to them before you start bouncing the car off the hedgerow so that you keep it in pristine condition and you don't then have to spend a lot of time, effort, and stress trying to fix it later, because the problems that come, for example, if you have a lot of lists in your ActiveCampaign, you don't see those problems until much later on.
That's it.
By which time getting the course correction is painful, even for someone with my level of experience. And I've untangled some real messy accounts, but it's hard work and it's horrible. And I just would rather you didn't get there in the first place. Much nicer for everyone.
Yeah, I love your analogy of the safe path and not stepping on those bear traps, right? And as you're talking, I'm thinking 100% agree. Lists, they get out of control. It just is. And let's be fair to the person who does it. The reason why I'm a firm believer in this, Kate, the reason why it's twofold. One is because that's how email marketing works. And most people are coming from a MailChimp, ConvertKit, or, some platform that use lists. So they're just anchored lists for everything. The second part is more of an ActiveCampaign thing where lists are just more visible than segments.
Yes. Oh, don't get me started on the visibility of segments.
Right. This is, anybody who is still at ActiveCampaign when I was there will know of my passion of making segments visible. And I wasn't able to win that battle, but I get it from a user perspective. I can click on lists and see a number for where everyone is at. I cannot see that with segments. I can see a name. If I find it under lists and hit the drop down and hit segments, I can see them. But even then, I can't see the number. Then I click on the segment and all it does is tell me the condition. I still don't see the number. It's
literally top of my wish list. I have a lengthy wish list from the user of things that I would change in ActiveCampaign. A lot of them are around consistency of language and things like that. This is why I call them bear traps. Because it does feel like entrapment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've literally had these conversations with ActiveCampaign, who I love and I advocate for. And I'm an ActiveCampaign evangelist in the biggest way. But I also would really love it if we could have a segment manager. Please.
Oh, my goodness. It would take things to the next level. I believe it's one of those core elements. It's not like a feature. It's a core element. Of automation.
and honestly, the thing that has fascinated me the most so I made this little course called Accelerated ActiveCampaign. totally free to fix this issue and help me on my mission of not having to answer the same question a bajillion times.
Yes.
See, again, born out of laziness, right? I didn't want to keep answering the questions, so I made a thing that answered the questions. And people do this course, and sometimes it's really very experienced ActiveCampaign people will find stuff in it they didn't know because it's so well hidden.
That's absolutely
I'm like,
true.
guys, can you stop hiding the good stuff, please?
Yeah, make our lives easier, right?
Please.
Like help us help the customer stay with you.
You're making my life hard here.
Yes. And
but, luckily I thrive on making stuff easier for everyone. That is my skill.
That's your embedded educator. And we have in our community, I've got a course that I created for resurrecting your list. I call it the list resurrection. And essentially, like after everybody went through it, they're like, actually, this is really good. And I'll shout out Karanda. She was the main one that said this. She's like, this is actually just like an ActiveCampaign best practices, like how to set up any account, And I was thinking to myself, yeah, you're right. I guess, dual purpose or whatnot, because hey, the bear trap that I will add to this conversation is the most common that I see people make is they sign up for an account and they go straight to the automations. They go straight to the, hey, I need this automated. And they're in the automations, not knowing you got to set up a list first, not knowing that in order to set up a list, you got to have an address. You got to go over here, not knowing I should probably throw this web tracking on my site. So if somebody does click a link, I can see like there's all these other checks and balances that have to be in place. And Kay, I didn't even mention, why are you building without mapping out what you're right? So again, I get it. I empathize with the user and I know, no shot, right? No shot towards you. I know you're just trying to get it done.
No. Yeah. I'm very big on no judgment, no tutting, no frowning. It is absolutely not the fault of the individual user. It was not my fault that I built crazy spaghetti automations and 10 lists in my first account and tags that had capital letters and small letters all over the place. And I got into a lot of messes. Which, thank you again, Melissa Love, for being so incredibly forgiving when I accidentally emailed 8,000 people by having a list subscribe trigger on an automation.
Oh, man. By the way, listeners, use the start trigger subscribes to lists very sparingly. Ooh, I don't have a single automation in my account that uses that.
No, I never use that, ever.
Oh, my goodness. I've never found a use case for it because it's always a form or a tag or I'm adding from another automation.
Yeah.
But that subscribes to a list is so dangerous. Oh,
so dangerous. Trust me. Dangerous. Trust me. That one is danger. Should have a big warning sign over the top of it. Bear trap.
Right.
Bear trap alert.
When you select subscribe to a list as a start trigger, there should be a big warning. There are many actions that subscribe people to lists. Yeah. Not just forms, but integrations. Be sure that this is really what you want to do.
The documentation is another big one. It's interesting what you said to me about a course that you'd created that then people were like, but hang on, because this is actually an ActiveCampaign best practice guide. Because I've had exactly that. So I created a course that was on engagement and deliverability and how they fit together. Absolutely. That little... The magic flywheel of engagement and deliverability, and you want to get it spinning the right way and not go in the vicious circle. You want the virtuous circle. So I created this course on it, and just as an aside, I mentioned in passing this Airtable thing that I created for documenting ActiveCampaign. And I know you're an Airtable guy as well.
Oh,
right?
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yes. I think it was from one of your blog posts that I first saw it.
Yes.
And then went digging and was like, whoa.
It blew your way. It had you.
This is all Auntie Kay's Christmases come at once. Anyway, I digress. Yes. So I'd created this Airtable. I call it my roadmap, which I know is the wrong name, but that's what I call it. And I mentioned it in passing. Someone said, hey, can we actually have this? Because that looks really useful. And it turned out to be one of the main selling points of the course is that people need this. They need a way to document and hold on to and make notes on the relationships between the different things in ActiveCampaign. Yes. And I knew that because I was using it for years before, when I developed this ridiculous thing to fill that gap. It is a gap. We shouldn't have to do it, right? But we do.
Absolutely. Now, as we approach the end, that is a gem for, I believe, all of our listeners, that resource that you have created, how can people get access to that, Kay?
Well, that resource is currently included with my Better Engagement and Deliverability with ActiveCampaign course. Snappy name, but it does what it says on the tin.
Yep.
Which walks you through literally step by step everything that you need to have in place and to understand in order to nurture and protect your emails to help them actually get to the inbox. Because, it's important, right?
Very.
And again, this arose out of the things I saw people running into the bear trap. The bear trap is that you don't know that you should be doing these things. Nobody tells you that you should be doing these things, and build your emails in particular ways to protect and nurture getting to the inbox. And by the time you notice that there is a problem, it's because you're getting complaints of emails not landing and your open rates are dropping, and that is late in the day. And I would rather do prevention than cure.
Yes.
We can also do cure if you've got an issue with your deliverability or you need to understand or get to grips with the engagement in your account. The course fixes that too. But the idea is more that it's prevention. And that Airtable template is included as a bonus.
I love it.
In that course.
I love it. So make sure, well, while we're here, go ahead and give people the link, because they may have heard that right now, Kay, and they're like, what did you say? Where do I get it? Where can they go to get that resource?
If they just head to my website, which is slickbusiness.co, all of the resources are linked from the homepage there. And the course is called Better Engagement and Deliverability for ActiveCampaign.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As much of the trips and traps and everything that's there, once don't do this, it unlocks a world of possibility.
So much.
I do not know where I would be without the level of flexibility and, of course, the tinkering, right? And the evolution of software. If your business is not leveraging the technology that is afforded to us today, you are missing out. Oh my goodness. I mean, ActiveCampaign is a centerpiece, as you mentioned. There's so many other tools like using Airtable to really organize how things are interrelated. To your point with Airtable, I've created a Airtable database as well. That's like I call it an implementation guide, but it's if you use it, it literally plans out all of your automation so you can hand this over. And it's almost like automation by numbers. Yeah. Right. It's just like, do this, do that. I love it. So, Kay, look at all of these tools that we did not have 5 years ago, 6, 7.
I know.
Right. And it is our playground now to figure out for these businesses how to make them all play in a way that achieves what the business owner is out to do in a highly efficient and proven way.
Yeah. So, and I love that we have these great tools to play with. It's exciting to me, and they're all changing all the time. Airtable's bringing in automation.
Yes, right.
Or you can do great stuff with that. There's always another bump in the road that you can smooth out when some new toy comes along. What can I do with this?
Yep.
And just to come back to my website, on the homepage again of slickbusiness.co, there you would also find a link to the free course, which is Accelerated ActiveCampaign, which it's designed so that if you're a complete newbie to ActiveCampaign, or you've never automated anything before at all ever and have no idea what automation is, it will literally show you how to do that within that 2-week trial period. Right?
Love it.
But it also shows loads of things that are the best cookies in the jar along the way. And it shows you some best practice along the way as well. Someone described it as a little window into my brain. And that's, so it's like getting a little glimpse into a really experienced viewpoint of ActiveCampaign and what it can do. So if you're in the position where you don't have a grip yet on what automation is and what it can do for your business, you want to get in and see some real examples in practice, get in there and play with a guide.
Great. I love it. Thank you for sharing that resource, slickbusiness.co, everybody. And Kay, I can't thank you enough for coming on to the podcast. You represented well for all of those looking for somebody who can take on ActiveCampaign for you. Look, Kay is exemplary. And the next part that I love about it is that you're intentionally educating, right? It's not just, hey, do this. Okay, you're good. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Right. You're educating to ensure that they own the understanding.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's
that
the fun
they
bit.
can be self-sufficient. I love it. Thank you for being another voice out there. They all know me as an educator and they know my passion. And I give myself an A today because I've been wanting to jump out my chair 4 or 5 times and I've stayed in my seat. But it's always good to have another brother and sister in arms on the battlefront, helping these small they're wounded. They're these wounded soldiers. Okay. We're the medics. We're like,
I want to give them all a big hug. and I just want to look after them all and say, it's okay. You can do this. You just need someone to look after you a bit. That's all.
Yes. So thank you for that. Thank you for all of your help in the various communities. And you also have a community of your own.
Yes.
How does somebody is that on your homepage or what's that community?
It's linked to from the homepage of my website. It's called Automate Your Business with ActiveCampaign, and it's a Facebook community. And my goodness, I love it. I love it so much. It's like, it genuinely is having 1,000+ ActiveCampaign buddies to hang out with.
Yep.
We have fun. I know that probably sounds a bit alien, but we do have a lot of fun talking about automation and how to relieve the pain of running our businesses and actually make it all feel lovely instead. And we do excited happy geek dances when we figure something out. And everyone looks after each other. So the more experienced hands are looking after the newbies, and we kick it on to the next generation, because this is how we build the next generation of automation professionals into this brave new world of ever expanding automation.
Absolutely.
There are people in there who right now they're running their own business or they're working in someone's business and they are getting excited about automation. And they're the ones who become the next round.
I love it. I love it. So by the time you all hear this, I'll be in that community as well. So drop by. This was a good reminder for me to jump in. So drop by, say, hey, Kay, hey, Chris, just listen to the podcast. I'm here too. Let us know.
That would be so cool.
Oh, absolutely. So Kay, again, thank you for coming on to the podcast. Thank you for, again, representing those who provide a service of automation the right way. You're not out for the money. You're not just selling tips and tricks and strategies of some guru said and just cloning and porting over automations, but you're taking the time. You're taking the time and curing when necessary, but preventing always. Right.
Yes.
So if nobody has told you that, which I'm sure your community has, you heard it from me. I appreciate it. I see the work, and I hope our listeners found immense value in just hearing a different perspective, a different brain's approach to automation, and see the alignment and the differences in how you handle it. So greatly appreciate it, Kay. We'll have all of these links that you mentioned in the show notes. So all of you listening, don't worry, we've got you covered. You just click on the link and we'll take you to the Kay's homepage where you can get all of these resources as well. So thank you very much, Kay.
Thank you so much, Chris. Total pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Thanks. I hope you all enjoyed hearing us talk about not just leveraging how to leverage ActiveCampaign, but also some of the things to be mindful of, right? There's a couple wish list items in there as well. As with any growing company, my main concern is always losing touch with the users. It's very easy to get focused on growth and making more money, ARR, MRR, bigger offices, everything else. But there's something to be said when a company maintains an ear to the ground to the most important folks who are leveraging their platform for success of multiple businesses. So hopefully we continue to see that trend across the board, not just with ActiveCampaign, but with all of the marketing and sales software that you all are using. So do me a favor, share this with whoever you know, either in your business or working in the online space that's looking to leverage ActiveCampaign. You all may know or may not have known, I was there for 3 years. I built out the entire education department, created the education culture that exists today and is still growing and blossoming. So there is something to be said. If I was there, I did put my stamp of approval. I use ActiveCampaign currently at the time of recording this podcast. And I will say it is a powerful platform, but you have to understand how to yield such power in your favor. Okay, so share this with the person who's doing your ActiveCampaign account or is using ActiveCampaign for their clients. Here at Automation Bridge, we're dedicated to training digital marketing professionals to become automation service providers using platforms like ActiveCampaign. Small businesses, they need that. If you can hear now, maybe the picture is clearer after you've heard the conversation between Kay and I, how as a small business, you need marketers that understand the marketing technology as well as the strategy, right? Very strategic to deploy these automated systems for rapid growth. This is what small businesses need. So if that's you and you would like to supply that service of automation for yourself or your clients, I want you to go to automationbridge.com/ASP to take the next steps to explore and potentially talk to myself or someone on my team to assess if you'd be a good fit for any of our current program offerings or packages. Okay. We're also accepting guests for the podcast. So if you're a SaaS founder of technology in the marketing and sales space, okay, I'd love to discuss your software and journey. Or if you're a marketing consultant, as Kay is, experiencing success with clients you want to share with the collective audience, either way, go to automationbridge.com/guest. I have to say, I never thought the time that we're in now would be here so rapidly, so much in dire need, so desperate at times are these small businesses looking to leverage technology for their benefit. We need to be matching that demand. Okay. I'm seeing the demand raise and I'm serving it at the greatest capacity I can with my own hands. I would invite you to join me. If you're that digital marketing professional and you're looking to automate your profitable processes, your profitable ways of growing businesses using a proven framework, definitely go to automationbridge.com/ASP. All of the show notes and podcasts are accessible at automationbridge.com/podcast. You can subscribe there to listen to other episodes at your leisure. And again, share and get the word out. Help me get the word out. So until next time, I see you online. Automate responsibly, my friends.